My name is Suzanne Heaston. I represent Bechtel, and I'll be facilitating today's event on behalf of the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau, TRIDEC, and the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. Branding is the art of setting our community apart from other destinations and identifying our unique selling position. You know, it became very clear how important establishing a unified brand was to the community when individually the organizations of TRIDEC, the Tri-City Regional Chamber, and the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau individually identified in their own strategic plans how important it was for a regional brand. In order to increase tourism and economic development, community branding really became a top priority for us. And it's been my pleasure to serve on the Brand Development Committee, which really acted as a starting point for identifying a community brand. At the direction of a consultant that you're soon going to meet, Roger Brooks, the size of the committee was to be about 13. That's a nice round number, with a variety of business interests. And it was composed of the CEOs from the Tri-City Regional Chamber, TRIDEC, and the Tri-Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau, a city manager from each of the 4 cities, West Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick, and a delegate from the other chambers, the West Richland, the Pasco, and the Hispanic Chamber, and representatives from private industry. So we had executives from the wine and hospitality industries, from retail, from the Hanford contractors, and small businesses in our community. And so it is my pleasure to introduce you to Roger Brooks of Roger Brooks International, who has guided our committee in the branding process. For more than 30 years, Roger has been helping to transform ordinary places into extraordinary destinations. He's worked with nearly 1,000 communities, as well as states, Canadian provinces, national parks, and even some countries in their branding, product, and marketing efforts. He's really a go-to expert, and you're going to find this out, for anyone with ties to the travel industry or downtown development, where most travel spending takes place, and transforming communities. He's the author of the book, Your Town, a Destination, and he's a board member of the U.S. Travel Association. You know, he serves as a change agent. He energizes communities into action, and you can see part of that that's happening already today. He's all about making something happen. So please join me in welcoming Roger Brooks.
Did I get that working? No, see this right here. When I say how is everyone, see this word right here? So how is everyone? Yeah! It's really great to be here, and let me start with Go Hawks! I speak at about 100 events a year, and I was speaking in Kansas City, which, or actually in other parts of Kansas, and I always talk about, I always take that I herald from the World Championship city of Seattle, and in places like Colorado, they would start booing me. And I would tell them that, you know what, you have to give me a break because I did my internship for the Seahawks their very first season in the NFL. I was 23, that's how long it took us to win a Super Bowl. And I remember in the old days, it was great to see Steve Largent. Unfortunately, I wasn't over there. He and I became friends, and Jim Zorn and I are still friends. So it was really great to see. And it was a great way for them to kick off the season last night. But we're going to talk about the Tri-Cities. And this is positioning the Tri-Cities, as Suzanne said. And so we're going to go through this and take some time so you understand why branding is important. And first of all, there are 3 ingredients of change around the world. Three things that have changed everything. And the first one is communities are looking for their second act. Almost every city in America was founded on either transportation. We're close to a major freeway. We're close to a major rail line. We're close to a major port. And if it wasn't transportation, it was natural resources, whether timber, whether fishing, whether mining, whether agriculture, as you have in the Tri-Cities. Or it was a combination of both. Whether it's manufacturing, which is a combination of transportation and natural resources. But guess what? We are now in a global economy where you have to compete with the other 19,500 cities and towns in the United States and 3,500 counties. The playing field has been leveled. And here's the deal. How do you set your 4 cities, your couple of counties, your port districts apart from the other 545 or 142, if I take your 4 cities? How do you set yourself apart from everybody else? That has changed everything. The second ingredient of change is we're knee-deep in marketing mayhem. As a matter of fact, billions of dollars are spent every year promoting cities, counties, port districts, areas, regions, states, you name it, all of these places. Yet here's the problem. We are drowning in marketing and advertising overload. As a matter of fact, we are exposed to 5,000 marketing messages a day. That's twice as many as 30 years ago. And you know what? Nowadays, if it doesn't fit us specifically, we just tune it out. There's my typical audience member. We just tune it out. And so you know what? It's led to a situation where 97% of all economic development, tourism development, community development, marketing, and advertising is ineffective. And that includes all of these things. And why? You know what? Have you ever gone anywhere that had something for everyone? We don't. And if we love equestrian, and all of a sudden somebody says, we are Washington's equestrian destination, all of a sudden our ears are going to perk up. But you know what? If we don't care about horseback riding or equestrian, when we hear it, we just block it out. Our minds are doing that now. Our minds zero in on things that are specific. Because otherwise, this is the way we act with all the advertising and marketing that we're pummeled with every single day. And the third ingredient of change is the internet. 90% of all Americans now have immediate access to the internet. I'll bet you that 90% of people in this room right now could pull out their smartphone, their tablet, or whatever and be on the internet. And out of that group, 94% are using the internet to decide where they're going to live, where they're going to go this weekend, where they're going to establish a business or invest. They're using the internet. It has changed everything. And by the way, location is always second to the primary draw, what puts you on the map. So you got to look at this. You must quit marketing geography first. It's always second to the experience. 70% of people that use the web are frustrated with could that be you? Are frustrated with the experience because you're busy marketing West Richland, Pasco, Kennewick, the Tri-Cities, Benton County. You're promoting all of these places, and we're not looking for places first. We look for places second. It doesn't work anymore. As a matter of fact, when we go on the web, I did this last night, I put business opportunities, Tri-Cities, Washington. That's the way we use the internet. We don't speak like Yoda, Tri-Cities, business opportunities, or Tri-Cities, what's happening this weekend? New homes, Tri-Cities, Washington. That's what we do. We always type in, what else did I try last night? Here I did, Italian restaurant in Kennewick. But you notice when we use the web, we never put in the city first. We usually don't even put in an organization first. We put in what appeals to us, the experience. Whether it is boat rentals in Richland, whatever it is, that's what we're looking for. Do you show up? So saying, the Tri-Cities, when you type in the Tri-Cities, we show up with the other 6 Tri-Cities across the country on the first page. You know, but people aren't looking for that. They're looking for things that are specific to them. You know, so if you look for sports facilities, Eastern Washington, whatever, what did I put in there? There we go, Eastern Washington. That is the way we use the web. And by the way, I put in sports facilities in quotes to keep those two words together, plus Eastern Washington, spelling out Washington and everything. I still got 28,000 results in less than half a second. Here's the other thing. Am I going to find you if you're on page 662? Somebody is. By the way, 88% of people never go past the first 2 pages of search results. Do you? So you need to show up in the experience column, not by Tri-Cities or the name of your city or report district. And that has changed everything. The web has totally changed the way we do business. So here's the question you have to answer. What do you have in the Tri-Cities that the people you're trying to attract can't get or do closer to home? Because, you know, everybody in Puget Sound has heard the 300 days of sunshine. And you know what? We don't have to go past Clay Elum to get it. See, so what is it besides that? By the way, that started here and everybody else in Eastern Washington took it from you and used it. And so, why should somebody invest in the Tri-Cities? Why should somebody move here? Why should somebody come and visit you? What you have to do is find what makes you different. You have to be 2 things. You either have to be totally different or you need to be clearly better than everyone else. You know, I started my career developing Whistler Resort. You know what our goal was? To knock Vail off of its perch at the top of the destination resorts in North America. Because, you know, the base of Whistler Mountain is only 2,500 feet. The base of Vail is like at 7,000 feet. So Whistler can get some rain. So we knew that we had to create something that was so good that people would skip over going to Colorado or Snoqualmie Pass or over in northern Idaho or other ski areas, Bachelor down south. We had to do it so good that people would skip over something closer home. And by the way, Whistler Resort's been the top-rated destination resort in North America for the last 30 years. So you have to be different or better. And by the way, better not because you think it's better, because you know what? Wenatchee thinks they're better than you. And probably Spokane and everybody else. Probably even Yakima. I know what you're thinking. This is being filmed. So that's what you have to do. Everyone is saying the very same thing. So you know what? Take a look at some of these.
Just a place in time, a state of mind or a memory. It takes me back to the things I felt. We were young, on our own, and feeling free. I wanna be in the moment, to live a little life, just breathe it in. And I know that you're ready, so take my hand, we'll touch the sky. I'm ready to fly, take me on a journey. I'm ready to fly, set me free. I'm ready to fly, take me on a journey. I'm ready to fly.
They showed a public market. If I live in Seattle, you know what? You're going to be hard-pressed to beat the Pike Place Market. Number two, was there anything in there that you don't have? Okay, we'll take out the downhill skiing, which, by the way, isn't even in Spokane. It's in Idaho. See what I mean? When you look at that ad, if we were to put the Tri-Cities on there and maybe take out the downhill skiing and a couple things, would it be any different? That's the challenge. And so here's another one.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and this is Wenatchee. Where in Wenatchee? One of our 700 softball fields. It's one of many places you could hold your next tournament. Or race, if you're into that sort of thing. But after you've mopped up the competition and the trophy's safe back at the hotel, that's when the real fun begins. 10 minutes after your last thing, you could be here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Turns out 10 minutes only gets you halfway to our ski resort, but it's the closest one to a town in the state. Do you like battling big city traffic and breaking the bank on overpriced venues, hotels, and activities? Dunder sure doesn't. Stop worrying about your sporting event and start thinking about how much fun you and your friends are going to have when it's over.
Now, it's clever, right? You like it? It's good. But here's the thing. Is there anything in that ad that you can't get in the Tri-Cities? Or that we can't get in? Maybe we don't have 700 ball fields in Yakima or Ellensburg. But you know what? Spokane probably does. See what I mean? And so that's what could this be the Tri-Cities? Could it be anywhere? This is the problem when you're trying to attract people from Portland, from Seattle. Here's another one.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and this is Wenatchee. Where in Wenatchee? A thing, at the convention center. There's free food. If you need a space for your next thing, Wenatchee's got it. Like technology space. And space for your big things. After you've nailed the trade show, conference, meeting, or other thing, that's when the real fun begins. 10 minutes after your last thing, you could be here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Or here. Turns out 10 minutes only gets you halfway to our ski resort, but it's the closest one to a town in the state. Do you like battling big city traffic and breaking the bank on overpriced venues, hotels, and activities? Dunder sure doesn't. Stop worrying about your meeting and start thinking about how much fun you and your friends are going to have when you're not working.
And so that's the problem. And so you keep going on, and this is what people see in Seattle and Portland. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, let me keep going. All I'd have to do is change the name at the end. You know, how many more do you need to see? You know?
Find getaways and packages to cure your cabin fever at visitspokane.com. We're saving a spot just for you.
And once again, was there anything in there that you couldn't do in the Tri-Cities? You know, other than the downhill skiing? Or performing, well, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that.
Thinking about getting away? Think Tri-Cities.
Think 300 days of sunshine.
Think adventure!
Think oasis.
Think colorful.
Think fresh. Think good times. Think memories.
Did we mention sunshine?
Your weekend starts here.
To plan your weekend getaway, check out visittricities.com. Tri-Cities, Washington.
Now, if we would have taken out Tri-Cities and put Spokane, could it still ring true? So I could have put on there, and could this be the Tri-Cities? Well, it actually was. Could it be Spokane? Could it be Wenatchee? And by the way, this is not a critique of your marketing efforts. That is why they're doing this, is because they realize that people are copying.
Thinking about getting away? Think Tri-Cities.
Think unexpected! Think sunshine!
Think gourmet.
Think relaxation.
Think uplifting.
Think down to earth.
Did we mention sunshine?
Think escape.
Your weekend starts here.
To plan your weekend getaway, check out visittricities.com. Tri-Cities, Washington.
So could that be anybody, anywhere? And those are the challenges. And so I'm actually... Idaho is doing their marketing in the Seattle and Portland areas. Could this be anywhere else, even what they're doing? But then what you see, I'm going to go through a few of these. These are good ads. They're beautiful. They got great photography. But the problem is, could that be Lake Chelan? Could this be Wenatchee, except for that bridge in the background? See, here's the point. Competition has never been more fierce. For tourism dollars, for economic dollars, for business. These are the economic development dudes. I'm looking for Carl there. And so that is the challenge. So to win, you must outwit, outplay, outlast. It is a brand new game. How do you set yourself apart from everyone else? So here's the goals of this whole effort. Number one, to really put the Tri-Cities on the map as one of the Northwest's best destinations, if not the best destination, to live, work, and play in. Okay, without using those words. And then number two, to differentiate the Tri-Cities from all other Eastern Washington. One of the challenges you have is your assets aren't that much different. So then maybe we got to somehow position you as better, that you're worth the drive past Clay Elum, Ellensburg, Yakima, you know, or even people that are driving right through the Tri-Cities to get to Walla Walla, which is probably one of the best branding efforts in the western United States. How that city went from a prison town to onions to wine. I mean, it's amazing. Surprise, surprise. And so there are two kinds of brands. One is the feel-good brand that says, oh, you got to come to the Tri-Cities. It's a great place to live, work, and play, which is what every one of the 546 cities and towns thinks. This is the economic development brand. How do we import more cash than we export? So if you earn your money in the Tri-Cities, and heaven forbid you ever spend any of it in Yakima, Seattle, Portland, Boise, anywhere else, that's leakage. And so this whole thing that we're talking about is about cash. And that is what the whole idea is, because that's balance of trade. That's why you do tourism. So here are the 10 things you need to know about branding. And so we're going to go through these pretty quickly. It is the art of differentiating you from everyone else. Number 2, it's a perception. It is a perception people have of you. You know, I'll never forget somebody coming up to me and says, you know, Roger, you know what the challenge is? Every time the governor or somebody gets on the news and says we're trying to clean up the Hanford radioactive waste, this person was getting a call from your mom and saying, are you okay over there? Oh my gosh, maybe you shouldn't live there. But that's what brands are. They're perception, they're a feeling. So what we do is, by the way, you know what? There's a big difference between Hanford and radioactive and the historic Hanford. But you know, to the general public, all we see is Hanford and we think radioactive. And so what you have to do is tell a different story. And so that's what you have to understand about perceptions. And then finally, logos and slogans are not brands. You know what? You've seen us all wearing these shirts here. They only make 2% of the brand. The only reason we even got into the logos is because we wanted to have some continuity between your regional chamber, your tourism efforts, and your economic development efforts regionally. And we wanted to have some continuity, and we want to make it modern and fresh. That's the only reason we even touch logos. I mean, have you ever gone anywhere because of the logo? Have you ever said, man, let's head up to Cheney. They have a really fantastic logo. Or have you said, you know, I really don't want to head over to Royal City because I think their logo sucks. By the way, I have no idea what their logo looks like. But that's the point. I mean, do you buy Reebok over Nike or vice versa because you like one logo better than the other? Of course not. I mean, do you buy Chevy over Ford or vice versa because, man, I want a car that has that Chevy logo on it? See, at the end of the day, you know, Pepsi over Coke, do you make the decision based on their logo? Of course not. You know, if you showed this logo to 10 people and you showed the Chambers logo, the TRIDEC, and I'm sure that Chris with tourism and Lori with the Chamber and Carl with, I'm sure that they showed these brand identities to their people. And I'll bet you if they showed it to 10 people, they probably got 10 different reactions. One person says, oh, I really love it. One person says, I think we should change the color. One person says, I absolutely hate it. One person says, I think we should change the font. One person, see what I mean? So, you know what? It happened right here. I warned our whole brand development committee that we tend to get hung up on logos and slogans. Guess what? The reason I'm here now and not 2 months ago is because we got hung up on logos. And it happens all the time. Number 4, you never use focus groups. Suzanne talked about our committee that put this together. They were not a focus group. Because most of the information we solicited from them, we wanted individual. We would want them to say, you know what, if you want to use a focus group, you come up with really great things like, say wah. And you wonder why the legislature got rid of Washington State tourism. And so you don't use focus groups, and we didn't either. And then number 5, a brand evokes emotion. It sells a feeling, not physical attributes. So we could have done a logo with, by the way, we found 300 logos in Washington State. And out of those 300 logos, 290 of them had rivers, water, mountains, trees, and in Eastern Washington, sun. It needs to sell a feeling more than it sells a physical attribute. Number 6, all successful brands are built on product, not marketing. You know what? Your regional organizations are only as good as the product you give them, cities and port districts and counties. They're only that good. You could spend millions of dollars promoting the Tri-Cities, and if the product is no different, where is that performing arts center, that aquatic center you voted at? See what I mean? So we're going to talk about that, but they're built on product. And you never roll out, we're rolling out a logo, but we're not rolling out a brand. A brand is something you have to earn. It has to be more than skin deep. It has to be the way you live, and I'm going to show you that. And then number 8, you cannot do branding by public consent. Some of you, however, you do ask, and we did, and I'm going to show you that. And then you'll never get everyone to agree until you water it down. We have something for everyone. Everybody can agree on that, but guess what? It doesn't work. I love this quote: a byproduct of brands for the people is a committee that compromises and kills a potential brand home run. This is why you never see statues of committees in public parks. You see brave leaders. You know, if we wanted to make this a top-down and say, okay, we want the 4 cities, and by the way, they were all part of this process, but if we wanted to be this a top-down project, this is how it would have gone. There would have been enthusiasm. Yeah, and that the cheerleaders when you were walking in here this morning, and yeah, that Brooks guy, we're really pumped about this. And then we've gone, and by the way, we've been going for almost a year on all the planning effort. And then there's the disillusionment, and some people say, well, I don't like that. I think that logo, I don't like. I mean, you know what? It's going to happen when we leave today. There's going to be the blog posts that say, why do we have to have somebody come from the outside to tell us that? I could have told you that for $5. And my response would be, then why didn't you? But the point is, there are going to be people that don't like it. And we even had that among our 3 organizations. Chris would love to use louder for the sports and everything, for tourism. Yeah, there are some people in this room that said the last thing we want to be is louder. See what I mean? And so then what there is fear and panic, search for the guilty, punishment of the innocent, and finally praise and honors for the non-participants. Did I get that about right? That is the challenge. Number 9, you build your brand on feasibility, not just local sentiment. Which one of all these ideas we heard make the most sense? And finally, you build your brand through public relations. Because you know what? What's going to get us to come here is what people think of you. That's word of mouth. That's social media. That's all of those things. And so there are only 3 killers of a branding effort. Number 1 is local politics. And by the way, it's worse with membership organizations than it is with elected officials. But here's the reason this couldn't be top-down effort. Your elected officials were elected to be all things to all people. Brands aren't. So, lack of champions willing to push it forward. And finally, lack of money, both private and public. By the way, you know why lack of champions is in yellow there? Because if you have the right champions willing to push this forward, they will get through the politics and they will find a way to make it work. And so what we've been doing over the last 6, 8, 10 months, how long has it been now, Chris? 10 months. We've been going through this process. And we've been going through a 13-step process that we devised about 7 years ago. I always tell people, you know, I always feel sorry for the first couple hundred communities we worked with because, you know, we hadn't figured it out. But since we've implemented this process, they have a 100% success rate. So this can work. And so we're going to give you the process. First thing we did is that brand development committee, and here are the people that were on it. Suzanne already alluded to that, but this was our team we worked with. And I even think that among this team, they probably went, I'm not so sure, and you know, and so, but they were a good group to work with. They did a lot of homework. And so, once again, it's not a focus group. They're the ones who said, well, what about feedback? And what about Pasco and Richland? And how does this tie in? And what about Vistafield and Kennewick? How does, you know, so we had to have all of those things here. That's why this was pretty represented that way. The second thing we did is we asked you to weigh in on the Tri-Cities future. And we got 1,250 people responded. And by the way, there was no multiple choice questions. You know, we asked, what do you think your 3 biggest challenges are? Well, we start with, what do you think your 3 biggest assets are besides your people? 3 greatest assets. Then we say, what do you think our 3 greatest challenges are besides our people? Just kidding. But you know, where do you go to hang out? And finally, the last question was, what do you want Tri-Cities to be known for? And we got that kind of response. Things we heard, we need local gathering places, a central downtown. You have downtowns. Every town here, every city has a downtown, but you have the downtown that's the size of a city of about 1,500 people, not 250,000. We heard that loud and clear. Something more than chain eatery stores and franchises. I mean, you know, my first impression when I came into the Tri-Cities, you have every franchise and chain there could possibly be in North America. But good luck finding that little Ma and Pa cool restaurant that makes you worth a special trip. People came up to me bragging about how your Olive Garden and Red Robin's are breaking the sales records. I don't know whether that's good or bad. Then bring some culture to the surface. You have I think we ran into 32 cultural organizations. Where is it? See what I mean? This is from the 1,250 people. And we want things to do after work during evening hours. By the way, let me give you a statistic right now. 70% of all consumer bricks and mortar shopping takes place after 6 p.m. 70%. Are you open? And you wonder why we're going to the chains. Because they're open and you're not. So this is what we heard. And so you can tell that this was more about product development than it was about branding. So we know we have work to do. Then number 3, who is it we're trying to attract? And of course, with any branding effort, the first people you're trying to attract are the people that live here. You don't know how many people we said, where do you go to hang out? When friends and family visit you, where do you take them? I can't tell you how many people said Walla Walla. Really? So we got to start with this group because you know what? Even if you want to attract tourism, if you don't hang out in your town, your city, neither will visitors. They go where you go. And then, look at this. Within 50 miles, you have 500,000 people. You know, most areas in the United States would die for that kind of demographic. That's within just 50 miles. And then visitors passing through, I don't care whether they're coming up 84, 82, all the different highways and freeways. And then look at this. Within 100 miles of you, you have nearly 1 million people. And then, how do we get that 8.2 million people that live within a 200-mile radius? There's your overnight tourism, by the way. When they're coming that far, they're spending the night. And by the way, even in tourism, overnight visitors spend 4 times more than day visitors. And then, particularly for economic development, they're reaching around the United States and even beyond. So that's kind of our geographic, and that is the order that you have to do it through. Demographic, we wanted to skew it younger because the future of the Tri-Cities rests in the youth. How do we get the millennials, those people in their 20s, their 30s, their early 40s with young families that don't want to be in the urban nightmare of Seattle, Portland, those areas, that they want to have the country living, they want to have the sunshine, but you know what they need? Those gathering places and things to do after 6 o'clock. But that is our demographic, key demographic. And so when you look at that, you look at these different areas of Spokane, that area, there is, by the way, I was in Caldwell, Idaho yesterday, and I told them the Tri-Cities is gunning for them. You know what I mean? Trying to pull them up. And there's Portland, there's Seattle. I mean, look at your location. I mean, amazing. 8.2 million people live in that circle. You got to differentiate yourself or position yourself different. And so they're looking for something different. Because you know what? I know you have 3 rivers, but so what? We're only going to use one at a time. If I want river rafting, and I used to do it, you know what? I went to school at Central, and then I went over to UW. And you know what? We went river rafting, and we went river rafting all the time in Yakima. We didn't have to come to the Tri-Cities. See what I mean? And so, something that's worth a special trip. We're looking for people with an entrepreneurial, we're looking for all these people. That's who we're looking for. We want the brightest and best minds in the nation. By the way, you have them here. You do. And then people looking for fun and a great way to reconnect. We thought that was really important. But most importantly, it's putting Tri-Cities on the map for something other than Hanford. And I'm not talking about historic Hanford. I'm talking about Hanford the way people see it today. Okay? Number 4, we had to compile what we heard from all of you. Now, you remember I said you can't do branding by public consent? Then why did you ask? Because if we would have come up with this without your input, there'd be no local buy-in. So you have to ask. And now what we have to do is compile what you said and figure out which one is the most feasible. How do we position the Tri-Cities differently? Always do what you're afraid to do, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And so one thing we found, what we heard, skew the brand younger. Be a little cooler, a little hipper. Okay? Position the Tri-Cities are urban, but with a hometown feel. We're not trying to compete with Seattle or even downtown Spokane. And then to reposition the Tri-Cities is a better way of life. It's more affordable, great schools, incredible recreation. I mean, all of those things. better weather, to create and promote a series of Northwest events that will get first-time visitors to try the Tri-Cities with a Y. Something to get them here. And so our mission statement out of this was to elevate the desirability of the Tri-Cities. That's our mission statement. We're going to make people think, wow, we will skip over those same things closer home because it's better in the Tri-Cities. That's what we're trying to do, and then beyond. And the brand promise for quality of life is to start each day with a fist pump and end it having earned another exclamation point. Yes! So, can you imagine people out there holding those things as they're riding their bikes? Imagine the photo opportunities. You want to go viral. So, that's the way we do things here. Louder, bolder, brighter, better, bigger. That's what we're trying to put out there. To be known as an exceptional location for wine, recreation, sports, business, culture, and to live. That's what we're trying to do. That's the way we do things here once again. It's about making that exclamation point. So number 5, we're switching now over to a brand leadership team. We want to know who in this room loves this. If you say, you know, I thought that I kind of like that logo, and I like this bolder, louder, you know, brighter stuff, you know, you're not on it. The person comes up and says, yeah, damn straight. Excuse the language. We need to talk to you. Because you know what you have to do is go out and sell it. This is just telling you where we're headed. And so when odds are 1 in a million, be that one. And then here is the brand leadership team. Number one, they have to be 100% enthusiastic behind this effort and say, wow, I love it. This is so cool the way we're going to position the Tri-Cities. They are doers, not directors. And they need to be willing to take some hits because you know what? The blogs are going to start. The sarcasm is going to start. And by the way, I'm telling our brand development committee and everybody that this is going to hit the papers. It's going to be everywhere. I'll never forget working in Moses Lake when the Seattle PI, which was around then, said, why are they even doing branding? You know what? They are just Tumbleweed Junction. You're going to get those shots. And so you got to take some hits. And then they will be brand cops, the look and feel of it. How do we use it? How do we let businesses use it? How do we take it to the next level? And more than half should have a vested interest in the brand. And we'll get to that. It doesn't matter whether it's events, festivals, whatever it is that's going to pull people here. And they are the voice of the brand. They got to go to Kiwanis, Rotary, Moose, Elks, you name it, Seroptimus. They got to go to your city councils and sell it. They got to go to your port districts, your commission meetings. They've got to go to the county, the hospital board, school boards, everywhere. They've got to go out and sell this. Because we can't just go say we wake up every day with a fist pump and go to bed having earned an exclamation point and have people thinking every day I get up, I shake my fist. You know what I mean? It has to be more than just words. It's got to be part of the way you live. And they can't be politically divisive. They can have political views. They can even be elected officials, but they can't be divisive. And then they will act for the steering committee for things like wayfinding signage, which is a top priority for the Tri-Cities. They will push the agenda forward. They will, at least half, should be under 35 or, okay, I'll push it to 40. Because that's the future of the Tri-Cities. If this is you, you need to let us know. You need to let our team know. And anybody wearing one of these shirts afterwards, you go up to them and say, I want to be part of this. And then number 6, we developed the product brand bank. All brands are built on products. So let me talk about this for a minute. We're in the age of third places. The first place is the place we live. It's our home. The second place is the place we work. And the third place is the place we go to hang out. Starbucks built an entire brand around building third places. The only third place that I found was Atomic Pizza. Did I get that right? Atomic Ale, excuse me. Because that's where everybody goes to hang out. It's cool, it's funky, you know, and they do have good pizza there. And you know what? We need third places. We need cities with plaza areas. You got to think about this. I want you to think about where America's come. We're moving to European standard. We're eating later at night. We're shopping later at night. We want places to hang out. We want places to connect. It has worked in Italy. This is Siena. This has worked in Italy and in Spain and even in Mexico. It's worked everywhere in Europe and South America for centuries. We finally are getting in a place in the United States where we want out of our cars. We want the pedestrian experience. And we're moving that way. And the Tri-Cities needs to do that if you want to attract the younger generations. You know, so we included in this plan, there's 37 recommendations in the plan. And a wayfinding system is number one. Because you know what? All the times I've been in Tri-Cities, I saw what I saw from the freeway. And it wasn't that great. No offense. But then when Lori, Chris, and Carl took myself and my wife around and started seeing behind the scenes of Tri-Cities, we went, oh my gosh, this place is incredible. The problem is, are they going to do that for the other 4.5 million people that live in the Puget Sound area? Lori's going, no thanks. She had a lot of backseat drivers. But that's the point. Showcase gathering places, you know, that are just a showcase. People go, man, I'll come over to the Tri-Cities because you have this incredible waterfront amphitheater. You know how many people a year go over to the Gorge? And there's nothing there. They're staying in Ellensburg, Moses Lake, everything. I mean, there's the amphitheater there. And yes, George does have I think a little restaurant, a little motel. Can you imagine if you had that with all the urban amenities? Oh my gosh. And so creative office space, you know, all of these things, an arts district, you know what, and then unique small businesses. Unique, when I'm talking about unique, I'm not talking about more chains and franchises. But you know what? The problem is you have all these standalone businesses out there. If you had a really cool central downtown where unique businesses to you could gather, would be awesome. You have downtown, all your communities have little downtowns, but they're underdeveloped. And they're not gathering places. And most of them are closed at 6. And then performing arts venues. You know, some city we'd like to see do a really great farmer's market. Now, we're not trying to compete with Pike Place. We're just trying to have some place in here where you have a market like this. And by the way, those are all garage doors. During the summer, you could lift them all up, except for one corner where restrooms and everything are. And then you could have all kinds of different activities going on in there. You know, wouldn't that be cool? We want one of your cities to do that. And by the way, in the winter, you can close them all, but in the summer, you open them all. It's an open pavilion. You can do RV shows, sports shows, farmers market, public markets, Christmas tree forest. I mean, you name it, quilt guilds. You know, you attract all these events. When we're talking about creative office space, we're talking about spaces like this, not fluorescent ceilings and glue-down carpet. If you want to attract those millennials, this is what you need for product development. A central gathering place. People at the heart of a downtown, plazas are the soul. Rapid City, South Dakota built this, which was a 60-space parking lot. It totally revolutionized their downtown. By the way, that it has 300 days of activities there. In the winter, it has that. You know what? Their downtown association makes $130,000 a year just renting ice skates. They have to dole them out because it's so busy. Their population is just 70,000. That is 8,000 square feet. It's bigger than Rockefeller Center. It's open 120 days a year. And by the way, even the water features and everything have lights at night, 300 days of activities. It's been open for 3 years in 3 weeks, beginning October. You know what somebody posted? And every Monday night, they do movies on the square. You know what? The average attendance is 3,500. Somebody posted a picture of movie night. Look what they said. Movie night, Main Street Square, Rapid City. I grew up in Rapid City. It was never as cool as it is now. Did you know that in Rapid City, in the 3 years since it's been open, the average age of a person buying a house has dropped by 12 years? You know, so developing something like this one, this is in up in Edmonton, Alberta, in one of their districts. Taking that used to be a gas station. We designed a plaza there. You know what? The developers that own these buildings, the people that own these buildings, they're tearing them all down. They're going to build new buildings right here on the edge of the plaza, overlooking the plaza. So they're going to take this piece of property here. There'll be a stage back there. They're taking that piece of property. And if you're standing here on that, if I go back to this corner, looking across, there's that site. Wouldn't it be cool if you had 1 or 2 or 3 of these in the Tri-Cities? You know what? This whole thing you're seeing down now, right here, your work is not done. This does not mean we have our brand. This means you're just starting. This is just the foundation. Where's the product that backs it up? Wouldn't it be cool if one city was, you know what happens when you vote for a performing arts center? You know what happens? The people in Kennewick are saying, why should I vote for something that's going to be in Pasco? You know, your cities tend to work together pretty well. It's your voters. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
So what if you had a series of projects? What if one of those cities says, we want to own that performing arts center? Because you're exactly right. Where is it? That's why Spokane shines. Once again, remember, our first goal is to get to 250,000 people here. Yes, we have lots of performing arts centers in Seattle. You know what? But what about those 250? What about the 500,000 that live within, 50 miles of you? And then what if a city was home to that terrific aquatic center? And then what if a city had one of those signature plazas? What if one of the cities had an amazing public market? What if there was a riverfront amphitheater as part of this mix? See what I mean? Now all of a sudden it's not competition. You know, well, I live in Pasco. I'm not voting for something that's in Richland, and, you know, vice versa. That's how you could do this. By the way, what you're seeing here is an umbrella brand. Every city needs to come up with its brand. And let me give you a good example of that. Chevrolet, its brand is Buy American. The taglines they use are an American Revolution or the heartbeat of America. But you know what? They don't run ads on TV that say buy a Chevy, heartbeat of America. They sell the Malibu to people that want a four-door, affordable family sedan. They sell the Corvette to middle-aged white guys. They do. That's the same market as us Harley riders. They sell the Aveo to people that are in their 20s, that are young, that want a first-time high-mileage, low-cost entry car. They sell the Suburban to big families, contractors. They have their niche, and then they just tag it with Heartbeat of America. See what I mean? Or an American Revolution. What you're seeing is an umbrella brand. We still need to know, what is Richland really going to be known for? And Pasco, and West Richland, and Kennewick. And what about those 3 port districts? Can one take on the arts? One will take on maybe be industrial art and design, and maybe, see what I mean? We need to have those niches here. We've created the umbrella. Now we need to fill the holes underneath that umbrella. Number 7, you write the brand promise. And I kind of told you that. How do you make it different? How do you make it memorable? How do you get it to evoke emotion? And then how do you get people to say, oh my gosh, yeah, let's head over there? So for tourism, it is. That's the way we do things here. Louder, bolder, brighter, better. And then, you know, you make a bold statement. You have to claim it. You have to own it. You have to evoke emotion. You have to make it memorable. And we got to elevate yourself above the fray, because we're getting slammed over there in Western Washington. By the way, in Western Washington, we're hearing about Utah's Mighty 5 national parks. We're hearing about Oregon now with the 7 wonders of Oregon. I mean, they're not just hearing about Eastern Washington, they're hearing about Hawaii, British Columbia. You got to elevate yourself above the fray. And then a series of Northwest events. You know what? We want you to create a series of events in the Northwest. And so we put together a song and just this little montage. Let me show it to you. Take a look. Is that fun or what? So here's the point. How many are saying, I had no idea we had all those events? You don't. You know where they're doing the color festival, or they're throwing that? That was in Provo, Utah. But here's the point. We want you to do a dozen of these. There was 19 in there. But wouldn't that be cool? I got to tell you a secret. I showed that to Caldwell last night. Every single person there said, we want to go to the Tri-Cities. 125 people. Had no clue what you were about. Now they do. They're probably already scanning down that calendar of events going, no, I'm kidding. I told them that this is something that you're working towards. But we want to make it fun. We want to make it vibrant. And it's skewed younger. Every single person we have showed that to says, I want to go there. If they will do that, I want to go there. Now, we're not making you the festival cities, but what we want to do is have a series of those and you build them up so people will try the Tri-Cities. Try it once. Maybe they'll say, my gosh, this place is outstanding. Because I'll bet you 3/4 of the people in Puget Sound haven't been to the Tri-Cities, or they've been to just the Waller Follies and they didn't do anything else. And that's what we're trying to change. We tested this thing, and look at that. That's the power of this. But see what I mean? How we just took that same thing and twisted around for the arts? See, so if one city said, we really want to be that arts focus, that's how you do it. You just change the imagery and what you're promoting. So this is a great umbrella that people can tap into. And so that is our goal, to elevate the desirability of the Tri-Cities over every other destination in Eastern Washington and then beyond. We think your ads ought to look like this, and we're working on real photography. But wouldn't it be cool if we did ads like this? This is about living life differently, better. You know, I even did a different photo with this, but look at that. Live life a whole lot brighter. Notice every hand is in the air. So now, number 8, we finally get to the look and feel of the brand. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci. A place where you can live life a whole lot better for a whole lot less. Really, it's true. And Tri-Cities, step out of your comfort zone and try something new. I mean, we could keep going down here, live life a little louder, bolder, brighter. You could, any ER words, you know, and then start every day with a fist bump and end it with an exclamation point. We want all your photography to look like that, and like that, and like that. So there's a lot of photography. Remember, we're just starting. These are stock photos. You know, photos like that. We're going to get all this photography right here. We want every photo to be like that because that's what's going to elevate you above Spokane, Wenatchee, Lake Chelan, Moses Lake, you name it. You know, even for business, exuberant, exciting, fist-pumping, energizing. That's how you evoke emotion. It's using photos like this and then adding things like the smarter choice, bolder, brighter, better. We live with an exclamation point. It's why we're here in the stunningly beautiful Tri-Cities. So everything should be like this. Everything we do is bolder, bigger, brighter, and yes, flat out better. You see, we don't believe in doing anything halfway in the Tri-Cities. It's all or nothing, no compromises. We go for the gusto, and that's exactly why we call it Tri-Cities home. And you know what? That goes back to World War II. Really. We did the impossible if you've ever taken the Hanford nuclear reactor historic site. You know, where adventure, thrill-seeking spirits flock to the biggest and boldest festivals in the Northwestern state. By the way, did you notice those festivals, the word Tri-Cities or Eastern Washington wasn't on any of them? It said northwest. That's what you have to understand. And then finally, is it any wonder we're one of the fastest growing areas in the country? Come try us for a fist-pumping great time here in the Tri-Cities. You know, that's what you have to do. Isn't it time you add an exclamation point to your resume? And we can put whatever website, I don't care if it's tourism, chamber, city, whatever. That's what this is about. So these are some concepts, you know, and by the way, a style guide is being developed. So you're just seeing the very beginning. But wouldn't it be cool like that? Crank up the volume. Can you imagine sports tournaments where, yeah, it's really loud? That energizes people. Think about it, the 12th man. It makes a profound physical difference on the players and everything over there in Quest Field. So that's okay. You know, look at that. Brighter, louder, bolder. These are sports promoting that. Celebrated in the Tri-Cities. You know, these are just ideas, just initial concepts. Doing these kinds of events, festivals, it's just everything you do as an exclamation point. Wouldn't it be cool if we could get photographs like that? Yes! We even thought, wouldn't it be cool if we did people with, you know, the logo with all these, have a person holding this one, this one, this one. Can you imagine the photo shoots? Can you imagine the social media, the YouTube, with people biking down the trails where the mom, the dad, the kids are each holding a different color exclamation point? Talk about, you want to get attention, you want to get social media, you want it to go viral, stuff like that will do it. You know, even your websites, everything's going to be bright, bold. You know, no more sedate Tri-Cities. We want posters that look like this, and we need them all over the Tri-Cities. We need the event first. But you know what? You got some good ones. We can do water follies, whatever. But wouldn't it be cool if you did this? Wouldn't it be cool, you know, to have that kind of facility right here in the waterfront? Richland's working on it. Wouldn't it be cool if, and I'm just showing you one quick little sample of how this is all being developed right now. You know, wouldn't it be cool, and I'm showing the tourism ones, you know, an activities guide versus visitors guides. You know, and have it, look at it, it's bold, it's colorful. You know, and by the way, all those photographs would be this. We just put in some regular photographs right now, but they would all have hands in the air. Every photograph you see would be that way. And wine is the most overused brand next to art in the United States. In Caldwell, I said, we want to be wine country. Nampa, not Napa. Nampa, Idaho says we're wine country. Boise says they're wine country. Walla Walla is wine country. So is Prosser and Yakima and Wenatchee and Lake Chelan and everybody else. And by the way, if we're in Western Washington, we can go down into the Willamette Valley and we can go to Woodinville. So how do you position your wine different? How do you do that? How do we do it? First of all, we think Red Mountain is a great label. You know what? It's award-winning, and man, you need to hang your hat on that. But I thought, what if your wine experience was more like this? Where rather than dressing up and going into a winery or a fine dining restaurant, what if we're hiking through Boulder Mountain, through the trails and through Red Mountain? We're hiking down into the wineries. So it's more of an earthy, outdoorsy experience. You know what? No wineries are doing that. No wine regions. See, this is all about positioning. And by the way, there's no reasons why the wineries can't use words like bolder, brighter, smoother. Maybe smoother's better for a microbrew. But you get it. You see what I mean? How this can all go richer wines, whatever it takes. You know, wouldn't it be cool? There's your wine carrier in the Tri-Cities. Have fun with it. You know, it's positioning. And then those series of world-class festivals will at least get people to come here because it creates a call to action, you know? And then quality of life, the way you live here will get us to take note, want to live, work, and play here because everything you do is with that exclamation point. And then finally, how do you position the Tri-Cities for business? You know what? I grabbed a site selection magazine last year, and in that magazine, there are 87 ads promoting communities in one issue of one magazine. Take a look, here they are. Here's the deal there. Did any of those get your attention? There was one ad, this one, discover the difference between earning a living and having a life, Pure Michigan. Out of all 87 ads, that got more reader response than the other 86 combined. Tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. Anybody, site selectors or anybody coming here, I don't care whether they're commercial real estate, small business, they're going to come here first as what? A visitor. Is this a place they would want to invest in, grow a business in, start a business, relocate a business? It starts with that. Out of 87 ads, that was the only one that was effective. All the others said the same thing everybody else is saying. And so, this is what you need to say. You need to put these things out there. Tell local stories. I started my business in the Tri-Cities, and that person is doing this. And that's why you have to do it. All your marketing should be like that. Add an exclamation point to your resume. That's what the Tri-Cities is about. Live your life a whole lot brighter, smarter, bolder. You notice in these cases, you might not always use louder. It depends on what it is you're marketing. You know, and doing that, put an exclamation point on your business. You know, then there are their logos. And, you know, we have all these, and you know, you can't get hung up on this. It's just part of the exclamation point. Each one of those is a little exclamation point. The whole reason we even did this was just to try to create some continuity. Can you imagine if every Coca-Cola bottling plant designed its own logos and its own ads? It wouldn't even exist as a brand. And then number 9, you develop the action plan. Branding. What does we want to be known for as the Tri-Cities, that umbrella brand? What do we have to do to own it? And there's 37 recommendations in there to do. And how do you tell the world? And then it is an action plan. It is a to-do list. It's only like 50 or 60 pages long. I mean, how many plans do you have that you never read past the executive summary? And so, you know, it does look like this. I mean, there's the introduction. Now, these are just a few pages out of it. You know, it is a to-do list. There's recommendation number 1, form the brand leadership team. That's what we're going to start with. You know, and there's number 36, there's number 37. I mean, there's all of this stuff. It's all right there. Because you know what the cool thing about doing this whole regional branding? Isn't this typically the way it works and probably in the Tri-Cities? That's the Economic Development Express. We're really clipping along there, aren't we? You know what this plan does? It gets everybody on the same page pulling in the same direction, so you go from that to that. That's how you win. And then number 10, you got to make something happen. We don't know whether it's going to be pole banners like this that are going to be on some of the streets. You know, this is not in the Tri-Cities. We just took a photo from another town we're working in and put them there just so you could see how the colors would just pull people. It's bright. It's bold. Yeah. Some people might say, whoa, it's over the top. No, it's not. You're trying to make a statement, evoke emotion. So we're hoping that communities will do this. And it could be brighter and you could not, doesn't even have to be Tri-Cities. It can be Richland, Pasco, any one of your towns. You know, that wayfinding system, what's it going to look like? You know, and what's going to happen is when you're in the county areas, it might have more of a Tri-Cities feel. But in Richland, it's going to have its own look and feel in Pasco, in West Richland, in Kennewick. It'll switch a little bit. But at least in the areas that are more county-wide, they might look like this. So wouldn't that be cool? Go ahead, take those pictures. I see all those phones up there. And so that's what you need to do is make something happen. Keep the energy high and don't fold to the naysayers. They're going to be there. Forget all the reasons why something may not work. You only need to find one good reason why it will. Dr. Robert Anthony. And you cannot fold to the cavers. How many of you know what cavers are? Okay, for you that don't, here you go. Citizens against virtually everything. And I know you got them because there's no place that doesn't. And then finally, a diamond is merely a lump of coal that did well under pressure. That's our brand leadership team. And so number 12, tell the world. So this is the getting ready year. 2014, even the first part of 2015, getting ready. We got to work on photo library. We got to work on videos. We got to get people holding up these exclamation points. We got to do things like, logo gear. You know, this is much better than that one. And, you know, doing these kinds of things that people are going to say, yeah, this is so cool. You know, doing these, there's a little wine opener there, you know, or carabiner, you know, and even, you know, all this. And I want one of these water bottles really bad. So does everybody in our office. And then finally, the last one, you'll revisit that plan every couple of months. It's a to-do list. You're going to work right down that to-do list. Chamber has their list. TRIDEC has their list. I mean, cities are going to have their lists. Everybody has a list. It creates peer pressure because everybody is working together. And so here's to the very, very bright future of the incredible Tri-Cities of Washington State. Thank you so much for coming out this morning.